this day,
I need you my chair, Wally.
what's that?
I'm on the edge of my chair.
Are you? Okay. On this day, in 1944.
Can you chant it?
On this day, 1944. Okay. FDR seizes control of Montgomery Ward.
Not Montgomery Ward.
Montgomery Ward, because they were the owners were not cooperating with some legislation or policy that tried to keep all of our businesses going, and so it looked like there was going to be a threat to production from Montgomery Wards, which helped supply our troops and some other folks. And so the president and the of Montgomery, the president FDR and the head of Montgomery Ward, the chair, didn't see eye to eye on some things, and the chair was trying to put a stop to some of the this stuff, and the president said, you know what, we've got to have this stuff going out to our troops, and so he ordered his administration to take over Montgomery Ward.
And that's when they called it monkey wards?
That's when they became monkey wards. So anyway, more information. I don't want to steal the thunder off of this paper, so more information here. Okay?
Very interesting. Yeah, I was not aware of that. I didn't hear about it other than they.
It's called communism, isn't it, when they take over? But every president has that power to do that. Lincoln. Yeah.
Boot camp.
That's interesting. That position is
And did you know?
I'm surprised that they got their material through Montgomery Ward somehow.
Yeah, well, they tell about some of the stuff that they supplied.
different company these days.
Yes, please.
Yeah. How many of you ever been to the zoo lights? I went with a bunch of grandkids last night. It's not our first time that we've been there, but it was the most crowded night I've ever been to the zoo lights. My golly, you couldn't hardly walk. I mean, people were cutting in front of you and splitting families up and just going right between and everything. But it's really spectacular this year. They've got it most all decorated with the LED lights, and the colors are just brilliant in those LED lights up there that they've got scattered around. So it's worth going up to see if you can stand the crowd.
If you ever want to avoid crowds in the future, go weeks before Christmas, because it's always busy now.
So yeah.
Because people's families are in town. So if you go a couple weeks before.
And school is out, you know, for Christmas break and stuff. So there was just a zillion kids up there, high school kids and on down. So, but it was pretty spectacular, the lights up there.
I don't know what LED lights are.
LED lights,
yeah.
Light emitting.
The lights made in China. They have
Yes,
lead.
they have lead in them.
Alan, are the lights coming on now, Alan?
They have a higher nutritional value.
They use about 1% of the electricity that an incandescent light uses, but they're just absolutely brilliant. They're really brilliant. And the colors that they get with those, the purples and the greens and the reds and the blues, just really jump out at you. So it's just amazing.
Did
You
you
ride the
see the
train
new?
too?
No, I didn't, but you know, all the years we've been family membership and then we've ridden the trains a dozen times up there. I've always wanted to ride the steam engine train, and they never had the steam engine train running. Last night they had it running, and my grandkids didn't want to go on the train. So I didn't get to go on the steam engine train. But they did line up the, instead of, you know, usually they got the 2 diesel engine trains running, or 3 or 4 cars. They had them tied together last night with both engines up front and about 8 or 10 cars behind that they were running around there. And that's the first time I've seen them do that. So, yeah.
Did you see the new baby elephant?
No. 99% of the animals were all sleeping or you know, in their cubby holes and that kind of stuff.
The elephant's out between noon and 2.
Oh, is it? Oh, he's out for a short
They put an
period of time.
announcement a week ago, not guaranteed, but that's the plan time to have the
Okay.
baby. If you call 400 pounds a baby.
Yeah.
However, on a side note to the elephant, one of my youngest granddaughters was named Lily, and there was a big front page article in the Oregonian at the time that, you know, they named her, so we cut that article out. We're sending that down to Phoenix to my granddaughter, so she claimed there's an elephant named after her. Take that to her preschool with her, so yeah.
Yeah, my granddaughter has a cat named Lily and is convinced they named her after the cat.
Yeah.
If memory serves, Wally, you said that you had a move, that the library had a project to move books
Yes.
Thursday?
Yeah, you wanna?
Can we talk about that?
Yes, please.
You knew there was a reason you came.
I guess that's the reason.
No, I remember the announcement, but I
But
forgot
I
the
I
details.
appreciate that, because I was actually gonna talk to Wally about that. He's offered graciously to have help recruit. So, I'll help him with that recruitment process. A few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we got notification from our landlord that Valley's fitness space was going to be occupied by a new tenant. And so they have an organization that's in the final stages of getting all their ducks lined up. But he wants us out of that space. I don't know if you're aware that we've been using that space for about 6 months, probably by mid-January. So we've undergone a little search to find another space in the area. And I am in the middle of doing the final negotiations on that space. So I can't tell you exactly where it is yet, but I have a particular landlord that I'm in discussions with, and we're gonna hopefully get a lease signed in the next couple of days. And then the plan is to take whatever we have left in there, which is quite a bit of material, bookcases and books and furniture, and move it from there to the other space. And I'm renting a 24-foot truck. That's gonna be on, interesting enough, we're gonna start at 8 o'clock a week from today. So perfect timing.
Yeah, eat
We
breakfast.
got a little, work off some of
Yes.
those calories you can see next week. So if any of you are available to help, that would be fantastic.
Can you guarantee there won't be a rainy day?
We're working on that. Yeah, we're praying hard and hoping for the best. If you could let me know, actually before the end of this morning, if you are going to be able to help, that will help me kind of do the head count of people that
Let's just get a head count now. How many
Yeah.
can help next Thursday?
some of you can. So 5, 4, 5. Okay,
6.
great. That's great. Thank you.
All right. Cool.
I have
Do
a
we
good
need anything
excuse. I
besides
have to
just-
give blood.
You have to give blood.
He says it every time.
Well, we can help that too.
Do we need anything besides just gloves is all, other
yeah.
tools will be needed?
No, it's mostly just taking boxes and furniture and loading into the truck.
Would, if
And
anybody has
unloading.
a refrigerator
unloading,
cart
too.
or dolly, would that help?
We've got a couple of dollies, an extra dolly cart wouldn't hurt. Can't guarantee we
Stuff over at the Valley's gym over there.
One truckload?
I think so.
Place where the library itself is.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
You need help loading and unloading?
We have quite a few books, but not too many, not as many as we've done.
Yeah, I understand.
It is.
The 24-foot truck I got
Yeah,
last
well-
March, we probably only filled up like 20% of it.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a lot of furniture,
Yeah.
quite a bit of furniture. So I'm gonna go do a little inspection this morning to confirm all that.
You're talking about what's in storage, you're not talking about the actual library itself.
No.
Library's
This is
staying
the-
where it's
this
at.
Fort Collins, the annex space, we use that for book sales and book sorting for the last.
Storage, we've got bookshelves. And
Yeah.
we found one of the really interesting things about the library is it just opened up the community was so generous in so many different ways. Is that we got stuff for you, and we really needed that space because there was the gifts just kept on coming, and so we have bookshelves and books and tables and what do you need, and it just showed up. It really was this. It was this metaphor for just tapping the keg for opening up the spigot of desire in the community of what they wanted to get done. And so we needed extra space in order to store all the gifts. So it's kind of a really neat problem to have.
And just remind the club that we have offered to sponsor the children's library over at the community library. So that's part of what we're going to be doing here today here in a little bit. So talking more about that.
You sponsored the library a little bit. You and Marge came over and did a book signing and did a ceremonious donation of sent a serve to Pat Garrett on behalf of the library, and a little media event with that. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
very kind of you and the club, and it's just an expression of generosity. Thank you for that.
Do you want some more
I
coffee, Alan?
want their pot.
You want their pot?
Hey,
Eric, give me
before it goes.
Get some more coffee. Yeah.
Sorry, Alan, it's empty
that.
now.
Oh, no.
We did their pot.
Doug?
Oh.
You? But I was going to let you go first. 45.
That when you get done.
It's all yours.
Here, Bob.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Still holding in the membership pretty good. That's right. Look what's happened to us. People that leave.
We're ready down.
It's, you know, it's not changing all the years I've been a member. It's just, if you have 80, you got 80. You got 150 members, 80 show up a month.
That's not Chris.
No, that's not Chris.
We're down to
It's apple flop.
Yeah.
That's all.
You get when you come here.
We reached our peak when I was second term, 87. Well, we weren't meeting there then. In fact, we used to meet at Tuesdays. We had to meet in function. Yeah.
No, I asked her, and she said, you talked to her about it? No. She doesn't. It's like you can't, no.
You know, I'll go punk rock and get it. I may even have an HDMI cable with me.
Oh, I'm
We can
sure
just
we can hook it up.
plug it in.
But I think you might check in with her.
Yeah.
She was pretty freaked out about it. I think
Some groups don't have that.
Have a gift card.
Yeah.
Spend it.
Once a week, play band in the back.
No, I'm going slow with her.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not trying to press her too much.
No.
But I think it's partly, I mean, I'm wondering if she doesn't want people working with her.
Right.
Or she just doesn't know.
Get it
I
half the
understand.
amount.
When I talked to her, she said something about, well, we have all the toys like that.
She might be thinking that, you know, there has to be some sort of wiring.
Well, Jackson, should I need to
Yeah, go ahead, yeah. Fellow members and guests, it's my pleasure this morning to introduce the mayor of Beaverton, Denny Doyle, and he's going to kind of give us a little update. And when I talked to his secretary, I actually asked him to give us a little citizenship type talk because we were inviting the Boy Scouts to be here for their citizenship badge education stuff. So I really don't know what all is on his mind this morning. I don't know what we're going to hear, but it's just going to be off the cuff, I'm sure. And I know he always allows plenty of time for questions about city operations and that kind of stuff afterwards. So it's my pleasure this morning to introduce Denny Doyle.
Hey, Denny.
Good morning. How's everybody's Christmas? I can say that here. Okay. So, yeah, I was actually going to lay the citizenship routine on the scouts, but you tell the scout leader they now have to come to a city council meeting. That is punishment enough.
Yeah.
So pass it on. They're welcome. They get their badge there, so it'd be great to have them. So, yeah, Jack, I'm glad you mentioned zoo lights. They're really kind of fun, and if you got grandkids, they really love it. And one of my obligations this week is to take our kids from Minnesota up to the zoo and ride the train. They get a kick a lot of that. We moan about the long lines, but it's pretty good. But citizenship, beside itself, one of the things you probably noticed in politics today was part of what I was going to talk to the scouts about, is that civility seems to be lost in the national stage. And luckily, other than baseball, it's been very civil the last 4 years, City Council of Beaverton. But our ability to talk and work things out and disagree and move on from it seems to have really gone backwards. I'll skip my whole moral lecture on that, but that was going to be my focus with the Scouts, about how we can't have to remember who we were in the 50s and behave like that, when you could disagree and still walk away and get on with life. And the next time the other side went back in the days of the Senate, I knew the senator from Illinois, Eb Dirksen, and they used to argue, go at each other on the floor, and then Friday night they'd go bowling.
Yeah, go bowling.
Their wives would hang out together, their kids would hang out together, and they learned that you can disagree and still like each other. And, you know, it's just a fantastic subject I could have got into because I'm passionate about that. But in terms of the city, this year we're going to probably see a few things happen in terms of location for City Hall, police station, budget, PERS, you name it, it's all in front of us. And the city's in good shape when it comes to PERS. We've been sliding money into a little account, so don't look for a tax increase in Beaverton because of PERS. We've done our homework on that. But City Hall will likely see a move over to the round. Police department will be looking for a new facility, so that if in case we have a minor earthquake, it'll still be standing. It's way overdue. You know, that was, I don't know if you don't know the history of the building, but that was a temporary 5-year fix, and that was 30 years ago. And we have people sharing showers. When the women come in to get ready, they got to move stuff from their locker in front of it, put it in the showers, change, bring it back over, and vice versa. And we got sergeants sharing desks. Throughout City Hall, we have people working in, you know, 6x6 space. So it's time for a change and something to be proud of for the city. And we'll talk more about that for a May ballot measure. And if you don't know, the city cannot help the schools. It's not our taxing job. We help them in other ways, but not financially. People ask that all the time. And I said, you want the schools fixed, go to Salem, because that's where the problem starts, and that's where they need the help. So our police department continues to be award-winning. We're still the safest city in the Northwest on all measurements, which is really kind of fun. And that really helps us to attract business. Last year we had about 800 jobs added within the city's boundaries. That's on top of the 1,300 the year before. So despite what you may read in the paper or hear on the radio, you know, we're not all going down. Things are starting to bounce back. Realtor friends are smiling and talking to me again, so that must mean they're selling some homes. So there's all these little signs of things going okay. The City of Beaverton is part of a group called Greater Portland Incorporated, and that was a merger of regional partners, which is a bunch of public groups, and then Greater Portland Inc. from Greenlight Greater Portland, I'm sorry, was a private sector group that went out and tried to recruit businesses here. And my first year, I thought it was kind of silly to have two groups supposedly doing the same thing at double the price. So we merged those two groups, and they've already brought, in their first year of actual existence, they brought about 450 jobs throughout the metro region. There's a couple of significant ones that they'll be announcing hopefully in the first quarter. But now we have the public sector and private sector working together to attract people. But the biggest thing I pushed with them is to retain what we have and grow what we have. My first year in office, IBM had bought a financial subsidiary that was based here and in Salem, in a total of about 250 employees. Well, one of the Carolinas, not too much detail, was offering millions of dollars to them to actually move that location and grow it back in Carolina. So it took our paltry $40,000, $49,000 for the city and mixed it with some state dollars to promise that we would pay for expenses to retrain workers who were unemployed that needed a new job, and if they would stay for X number of years, and also make sure that people kept their jobs for 3 years. Well, you know, to our luck, they agreed to it. They didn't go, and they've added 600 positions in 2 years. And I'll tell you, that is pretty exciting stuff. These are family. The IBM won't let you talk about it. They won't even tell you the number of employees, but we have our ways to find out. And it's really good news. And you know, Nike has grown by about 2,000 people in the last 4 years. Intel, you know, is just rocking and rolling. They're dumping another $3 billion on top of the $3.5 billion they just spent on the new fab. That's another probably 1,500, 2,000 jobs. So that's important. Local governments give at the start, the state gains all the money in terms of income tax, and then they pass a little bit back. But it still is people employed, building homes, taking new apartments, the condos, you name it. It all adds up to solid stuff. And there's a lot of this country pretty jealous of what we're doing out here. And one of my missions the last 4 years is to convince Portland that this is a region. It's not all Portland. we count in the burbs.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with the way we live. Not everybody wants to be in Pearl. And to the incoming mayor's credit, he gets it. Charlie's there. He's already been out to visit. I talked to him the last weeks of his campaign. I said, please come to the West Side. Let me give you the news story. It's been 10 years since you've been in office in Portland. I want you to sit down with me and look out the window and let me tell you how it's changed out here. To his credit, he called and came. So that's exciting. That'll be good for us to function as a region. Session is starting. I don't know if you have any passionate desires out of our session except take care of hers. I don't know what may happen in the session. I hope they get together as well as they did the last time when the House was equally divided. They actually accomplished stuff with minimal rancor, and I talked to people on both sides of the aisle, and it was an excellent session. So I'm hoping they won't forget that when you talk, you share, and compromise, things can happen, because we need that. And if we could somehow imprint that on DC, I'm not wasting your time talking about DC. It's frustrating. I don't know if you saw the article in the paper, but the U.S. Senate asked less than all the things they considered this last year was 2.8% of what they looked at. It's the only thing they bothered to vote on.
Yeah.
It was terrible, like 1 out of 50 things.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's not a good way to start your day after Christmas reading a story like that. But so we're the city is really developing tighter relationships with the county. Andy and a bunch of folks and I get together at least monthly for breakfast. That has never happened before in the city. So we understand we are part of the county. I host the mayors at least once a month at City Hall. Small city, big city, they all come back and talk. And we're starting to get much more cohesive, so when I talk to a state legislature, I said, by the way, every city in Washington County wants this to happen. That carries a lot more weight than, Beaverton wants this, or Hillsborough wants this. And it makes a difference. And now I tried to get the whole region mayors meeting my first year. And then they started wanting to move it to different mayors' places, and then what happens when you change a day and a time, everybody stops coming. But we're redoing that now in Tualatin, and we'll have between 20 and 27 mayors show up. You can't send a substitute; you got to be there, or nobody's there. Trying to deal with Metro, and again, we're trying to speak as a united front because I'm of the mind that the world has changed. And if we don't speak regionally, we're dead. If we don't speak, the region to me is up to Canada, down into Northern California. And Peter DeFazio thinks that's a really cool concept. And got me a chance to have a cup of coffee with him back in DC to talk about what could they do to help us present this region as the top region in the country. Believe it or not, we're the third largest exporting region in the United States of America. Thank you, Intel.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an amazing number. People go, oh, and it's going to get better. One of the things we've done with Greater Portland Inc., which is, again, this group that we merged the public and private sector together. Sean Robbins came out of Madison, Wisconsin. I was on the group of 5 that actually did that hire. And I happened to have an excuse to go to Madison, so I didn't tell anybody, but I went there and walked around, talked to people in the community. And this young man is on fire. He's really, really good. And boy, were they ticked off when we stole him. But he's actually got some stuff in place. He's revamped the whole staff. While this is going on, Portland had applied for a position, in a sense, with a group to start to talk about how can we teach our local businesses to export. And we were one of 4 groups picked: San Francisco, ourselves, Minneapolis, and then upstate New York. And so we're doing that, and the city has become a major player in that financially. And we're going to start sitting down with small business and say, look, if you want to export, here's how you do it. Don't be afraid of it. The last number I read in the country, less than 3% of everything we make as manufacturers leaves this country. Now, if you look at another study, the top 100 markets where you can sell stuff and make money, there is not one in the United States in terms of the top 100 expected markets. 3 of the top 10 are in Turkey. I visited 2 of the cities. And let me tell you, that may not dress like we do, but by God, they know how to spend money. And we need to take advantage of the export. So we're going to try to teach our businesses what to do. 2 years ago, I was back in D.C. hounding the Import-Export Bank in the United States. There's like 5 of them back there, and they kind of run the whole country. And I asked them if Beaverton could become like a test site or a model of whatever you want to call it, a pilot for the Import-Export Bank, which sounds like a big savings and loan. Well, it's not. It's basically an excuse to help businesses export product. And what they do is they guarantee the fact if you sign a contract with Fred over here in Taiwan, you're going to get paid. And it's fantastic. We've finally had 2 of our businesses take advantage, and they think I walk on water, because they made this stuff, they had 2 or 3 employees, up goes their bottom line, and they're making sales. So we're trying as Beaverton to really lead us into this new frontier called the big old global world. And, you know, Hillsboro's getting call centers, data centers rather. We're getting call centers, and granted, they don't pay $1,000, but we've added probably 1,700 employees in call centers here. Comcast has taken theirs, whether you like Comcast or not, from 350 people to over 800 in the last year and a half. They've totally filled up one of the buildings on the old tech campus. We've got little companies over in the Round and other places that are going from 10 to 20. I could drive you crazy because I actually get into this stuff. I try to visit a business every other week just to see what they're doing and how we can help. Because by God, jobs are what take care of the world. And, you know, that's how we help the schools in the end. So, but it's really fun. You know, not all businesses are succeeding. We've had a couple go away. We put a combination of Intel and GE was on the top floor over the 24-hour fitness building at the Round. It lasted a year. Somebody in California said, come, dollars. So off went 90 jobs right there. But so yeah, you know, you win some and you lose some. But it's really important that we're playing the game. I won't tell you what my schedule's like in terms of travel, but I'm going everywhere, and I'm a good preacher for Beaverton. And I meet people and say, you really do like your city? And I said, well, when I meet somebody and they don't feel that, I'm done as mayor. That's my personal measuring stick. When I lose my passion for the city, then it's time to just say, go be a grandpa, go coach college softball somewhere. But so far, the fire's still there for me. I'm excited about getting reelected. I did have 2 opponents in the primary, so I got 70% of the vote, which puts me on the ballot in November. People didn't even know I was running, but I was on the ballot by myself. So you're stuck with me for 4 more years. And I'm excited, and just it's an honor that I get that chance to keep going. We got some neat stuff. When we get this City Hall building straightened out and it ends up in the Round, there's 4 or 5 things that are going to happen fairly quickly over there that are going to make you smile. But they're waiting on us to make that move, and I think that's going to happen fairly quick. But I'm pumped about that one. And you know, let me explain the financials on that. The city entered into a lease 8 or 9 years ago with the Caldwell. Do everybody know where the South Office building / Caldwell Baker is? Down to the bottom of that building, we rent 4,800 square feet, and I may be off by 100. Out of 104,000 square feet, so we got maybe 5,000 square feet down there. The city agreed to a lease of $400,000 a year for that space, anticipating the power plant, which is down there, was going to make all this money. And so you think about that, I'll guarantee you that $400,000 per year, that's a pretty high per square foot. We owed $13.3 million in that lease over the next 30-some years. We bought the building for $8.6 million. So that puts us $5 million plus ahead of the game over time. And I was in Florida at ports and exports in Jacksonville when we were doing the deal with these guys in Miami, so I won't tell you what happened there, but we got the building bought. So we just saved over $5 million. It'll probably cost us 2 to 3 to renovate the 4th and 5th floor. It still leaves us $2 to $3 million ahead of the game over time. So that's why if you hear me say it's a free city hall, it's a stretch, but in my mind, we were going to spend that money on the power plant lease. And at the end of that lease, there was no guarantee they'd give us the space. Meantime, money was borrowed on the power plant, so we could have lost it all. But anyhow, I think we settled all that. What it helped us do is lower the rates to the condo owners and the businesses there. Because if you wanted a high electric or heating and cooling bill, go to the Round. It was unbelievable. So we're trying to fix that. We've got people now talking about building stuff around there. If City Hall moves, that will let us sell the heating and cooling to them, eating up our overhead and our costs, lowering the rate to everybody. There's some mad plans for Westgate. You know, we can't really speculate on what's going to happen there. People talked about a teaching clinic facility, and I'm not sure that's the best place for it, but I'll let people talk until we raise the money to do that. But we have, we're working with, speaking of that over there, we're working with Virginia Garcia, 7 nonprofits in the county like Community Action, Pacific University, to actually develop a prototype for the United States of a clinic where teaching opportunities and learning opportunities are there for kids from Pacific, PSU, UOP that are into medicine or nursing, OHSU. We have a lot of interest in that. Folks have been meeting for about 18 months now. Nobody has stopped coming to these meetings. We picked up a $1.6 million grant to help with the planning and getting people to learn how to play together. Think about 7 nonprofits, all passionate about what they do, trying to play together. The whole idea would be have somebody come in and say, well, you need mental health, you need this, you're a veteran, you got this problem, you're new to this country, you got your green card, etc. You need help over here, and just keep it within one area. Said, oh, go get on a bus, go find this place, go back to Hillsborough, go out over to Portland. I'm not sure we'll pull it off, but it's a passion, and that we're going to really push for that. And that's going to be done with private dollars, not city dollars. We may help with the land, and that's it. And the model is hearing that it is workable, it is doable, and the partners are getting more excited to do that. So that may be something that may happen somewhere near a light rail stop, because it's the core part of the city. Urban renewal, the values of property didn't go up, so we're not starting any urban renewal projects until the money starts coming in. We're not going to spend it, unlike some other cities. I made a promise during that campaign, but if we don't start seeing the values go up, therefore the revenue between the baseline and the increase, we don't get the money, we don't do anything. So one of the reasons we wanted to see the round catch on is to start those values growing over there. We've got developers just waiting, and SKB, which is a company out of Portland, they built all the cruiseway and stuff and made lots of money. They own the entire rest of the development. We're getting ready to actually make it all look nice with parking, trees, lights. Once it starts, they will probably start building another building every so often. And make that thing come alive. See, Johns is redeveloping from light rail down across Jenkins and Walker. Watch what they're going to do. You're going to see the grocery store there. Who's the big anchor in Cedar Hills? It just went out of my mind. Big grocery store at the Winco. You're likely going to see them change location to bigger and better, and that current building will house somebody else. There's a lot going on, and it all depends on how much leadership the city shows. And when we did our survey, we talked to 5,000 individuals. Well, now 3 years ago, and it was real clear they wanted downtown. We want to take care of Old Town, but they wanted downtown. We want someplace at 18 hours you can go. We need some housing. I'm talking to another guy with a 2 5-story buildings that actually, again, no public dollars, no help me. Everybody comes and says, oh, can you give us the land? Then we'll build the building. Can you give us a tax break? We're trying to avoid that. And we've got somebody active again at First and Angel, which is by the Dairy Queen. Remember 7 years ago, somebody came to the council and said, oh, you buy this, get rid of Ringgold's, tear it down, get sued, spend a lot of money. We're going to have a facility there. Well, that came and went. Another one came and went. These guys, we're hoping, can play. First and Lombard, they came close to getting the funding they had there for working labor, workforce housing. Roy Kim, and then there was a public sector, but the public sector didn't get the grant, so we're going to try to help them do that. But we got other people looking at blocks in downtown. A lot of people are looking, but they're starting to think about maybe we can do this now. So we can have some fun stuff happen the next few years in Beaverton. I'll take one of them just to give confidence to people to happen. So I'm excited about it, if you can't tell. I've not requested a millage rate increase in 4 years as mayor. Some of it happens because you have to, the way we do our tax, you say the pot is this big, no increase in the millage rate, but then the value drops so that you may see a penny or two up. But we've not asked for an extra cent on our millage rate. Lord knows it's there to be taken. We just, I live here too, and we know people are hurting. So those are things I'm proud of. The city is continuing to do stuff. We're now doing dispute resolution for the state of Oregon on people in foreclosure that are getting worked over by our wonderful system. They came to us and said, you do a great job mediating disputes in Tigard for people here in Beaverton. Would you take this on? And it's not, they're paying us for the service, but it's still a bargain, and it's working. I've watched some of the stuff happen in terms of people being able to stay in their homes and try to sort that out. This last year we got a grant from the state to take care of people with drinking and driving problems. There's a fancier name. I've sat through Judge Rink holds court with a group about every 2 weeks. There may be you have to apply to get in the program. They help you get sober. They help you organize your finances. They even help people find a place to live. And they are pretty darn serious about making sure people follow the rules. And we'll skip the stories, but I'll go and listen for the 2 hours when he talks with each and every person. They got to come up, say what they're doing. And he took one man and he said, you know what? I think you need 30 days in the county jail. Goodbye. So he's a no-nonsense judge, but when it's working, he's ecstatic. And it's kind of fun to watch, and that's a tough illness to kick. And we're doing it in a very special, unique way in the state, and I hope it continues to work as we're seeing it work. And we'll know more in years if we don't have a repeat recidivism going. But that's new. Nobody else is doing that in the state. And they're so happy with it, they asked if we'd add a 4th year to the program. So we're gonna do that. This is just us trying to be human beings. And it's an illness that's tough for people. And if you've ever dealt with it yourself personally, or you know somebody, you know it's a nightmare. It's not fun, but we're trying it. So we're kind of all over the place on this stuff. We've got people working for us back in DC that we've never had before. So we're up to about $3 million in grants, and there's more coming. And the city had to learn how to play the game today. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. And I'm a pretty practical Irish guy. You just got to do what you got to do. And you don't show up late for meetings. Thank you, Dad. And that's the way I approach life. And the city staff is now pretty empowered to go out, and they're allowed to make mistakes and keep their jobs. And that's a whole lot of fun when you're not looking over your shoulder all the time, worried about, if I get unelected, Lord, that's okay. Grandpahood, here I come. And it's just fun. So I try to impart that in the staff. And, the building's loud and lively now. They have birthday parties. Imagine celebrating somebody's birthday like normal businesses do. That it's okay to do that and just have fun with it. But they're doing a good job. And when I saw some of our trucks out on one of the guys working on a problem Christmas Day, I was out dinking around with something. There was one of our water guys fixing somebody's problem. We have that all the time. We got a, how many?
Just a couple minutes.
I'll close with
question.
I'll close with a fun story.
'Cause they've got a presentation.
Okay.
So I'll just show
You tell you get me going on a microphone without a script, I can go
Yeah,
forever.
I know.
Great job, Denny.
Thank you. Well, the biggest fear of staff now just kind of writes down points. They actually learn how I talk. And I've cleared up some other stuff that I shouldn't say public. Bulldoze the buildings down and build something new. They don't like me saying that when I talk about the mall. But this is a great Christmas story. I got a voicemail forwarded to me from our Public Works, Peter Ariano. And so a gal calls up and she says, well, I just want to tell you, I don't know who to call, but I want to let you know you have 2 great employees. And then she starts to cry. She goes back and tries to talk again. She finally gets through and says, well, I was at Costco. I don't have a lot of money, and Costco wouldn't take my check. And they went back and forth to argue with her, it's pleading for Christmas, and then she starts to cry again. So she said, then I left, and I come home. All of a sudden the doorbell rings, and there's 2 city employees. She had dropped a signed check and didn't know she had dropped a check at Costco at a Lowe's. These guys took the rest of their lunch, in theory, and went over and handed her a check. That's the kind of employees the city has. No questions. She got their first name, so they'll be getting at least a cup of coffee for me on that. But that's what the city workers try to do, and it's fun. And I tell you, a tough place to work is a library. Every character on earth comes to the Beaverton Library. When Multnomah shuts down on Thursdays, when Tiger shut, we get an influx of interesting people. And librarians, the stuff they put up with are saints. And so I'm just saying, be on the lookout for that, because we have people who have been banned for X, Y, and Z in our library. But
Just stay open, Mayor. Stay open for us.
yes, we're doing it. And we're now, our main library is the #1 circulating library in the
Right.
state of Oregon.
Yeah.
And our system is #2. Only Multnomah's, we're going to get, 10 libraries? So people like our libraries, and you know that. That's why you're doing what you do. And it's so important that we have that refuge there for people who get the free Wi-Fi. Get a book on readers, and it's cool. So those are 2 up notes. Questions?
Yeah, I got 2.
Okay.
One's a question.
Softballs, please. It is there for Christmas.
We'll give you the softball one first. I still really want to see Beaverton Creek improve through downtown. I know that we're working on that in stages, but the faster that happens, the faster your downtown redevelopment is going to happen.
Yep.
The second thing that's really a political football, and Hillsborough just recently took the lead on it, and I supported it 20 years ago when it came
the West Side
up, and
Bypass?
we got shot down. We got to get behind that West Side bypass. I want to see it go further than what the plans are, but if we can get the initial stage done, maybe we can get a 3rd bridge across.
I'm not fighting it.
Et cetera, but
Yeah, no.
you need to come out in support of it.
I already have, publicly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's,
yeah,
can
we
look,
need that
yeah,
bad.
and we need 217 fixed too.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that would help fix 217.
Yeah.
If we could get that.
Yeah. It
would. Yeah,
I agree with you. No, there's no problem for me.
yeah, okay.
I too have a couple of questions.
Uh-huh.
First of all, any comments on the Nike tax situation?
Extension of what currently is in place?
Yeah, with what
It's fine.
the governor did.
Yeah, it's fine, because we'll get the money back through the income tax of the new jobs. The estimates that you're hearing of 500 are probably radically low in terms of number of jobs. I've been kind of quietly involved for a number of months now what's going on. It's pretty exciting stuff, and at least we're keeping it in Oregon.
And
The new jobs. There was never talk of Nike closing down. That happened 5 years ago, of closing down and moving out of state. They would have never said that, no matter what reporter you read, they call, they talk, because they know that I've been involved, and I can't tell you anything, but stop this nonsense about Nike gonna move the whole world. It's just the additional workers. They are wrenching into stuff that's gonna be pretty exciting. And that's why they need space for
And
the
the
workers.
expansion of that concept to people like Intel and smaller companies, that's
Right.
okay too?
It is because it's only, you know, think about Intel's sales volume, how much do they really sell in the state of Oregon? It's peanuts. And this, I think I still, no, I better not say that. Sometimes you question the wisdom of doing things at different times, and I still don't, I've not fathomed why they went the road they went, but Kitzhofer came through. So I think that the dollars we get long-term will be far outweigh than the dollars, you know, it'd be great to tax every sales of Intel, but then they could just up and move over to New Jersey, which doesn't do it, and then we lose the job, so.
And then
You know,
the final
Solomon prevailed on that.
The final issue is annexation. What are your thoughts on
If y'all want to come to the city, y'all welcome. I'll cook you grits and corn. If you don't want to come to the city, you don't have to come to the city. And I tell you, some of the neighborhoods, seriously, some of the neighborhoods here now that are 40 and 50 years old, they don't want to come to the city because we have the money and the wherewithal and the talent to fix problems. We can take care of water problems. We can take care of flooding. We can get sidewalks. We can do streetlights. We can do a lot of things, but Lord knows if you don't ask, we don't need any headaches. But I'd love to have more people come in. If we can get to 100,000 to be practical, that opens up floodgates to federal dollars that we can't touch without the state getting in the way. We need 9,000 more people, and then you hear me shut up about more people in Beaverton. I really want that 100,000. If we grew to our aspirational boundaries, we'd be a city of 225,000 people today. That's without the growth of more folks coming in. But unless people want to come in, and some folks actually come that is inanimate and they do watch and say, could we get together and talk? We need some help. So we're going to do that. Don Mazziotti and a couple are going to talk to a group. But if you don't want to be in the city, that's okay, because you know it's a big world. We'll all be okay. But I think we can provide services. Sure, it costs you a buck more per 1,000, but you're going to get your money's worth. You know, you got the barking dog in the county. Not much is going to happen there. You have it here. You got somebody there the next day talking to the neighbor. It's just silly stuff, but it's part of the way we live. I mean, we're getting involved about chickens. You know, we allow chickens now. So you're kind of, well, if I came to Beaverton and get rid of my neighbor's roosters, yep. But anyhow, it's a hoot how it impacts our personal lives. You know, it's just fun. And it's good. But that's a good question, because people worried about it. It's that aggressive annexation nonsense is long gone. Yes.
One question I'm interested in, Renee. Security in our schools. Is that the city's responsibility, or is it the school's responsibilities, and what are we doing in that respect?
Right. Jeff Rose and I are going to talk when he's back about additional security. Right now, we provide and pay for with city dollars resource offices in all the high schools. So they're armed, and they become good friends of the kids, and that has really helped us. Public schools it's really scary what's going on. They're actively watching people at a few of the schools. So you got to do it, but we're not down in the middle schools and the elementary schools. In new style schools, they're built, you can actually control access a whole lot easier than Highton, which has got 5 doors here or there, unless you lock them all up and you can't see. But so we're very aware of it. I mean, we're on the phone. We partook in the town center stuff. We were in backup mode. Some of our officers went over there. But we're all reviewing what's going on at the schools, because unfortunately we are a world, and illness is illness. You got to be prepared for that, unfortunately. And then copycats. That's how you have to solve it. You make sure someone gets into that school out of their minds and do what's going on. But it's scary. I mean, I've been reading more stuff because I actually try to stay ahead of this. And I caught a 17-year-old kid in high school. He had already plans. He had the building schematics. He knew how to lock down the auditorium. He was buying stuff to put the bombs in, so when the police came in, the doors would blow on them. And he was just going to go in and start killing kids. It was just amazing. He's 17 years old. And they caught him because he went to, I don't know if you saw this in the paper, but they finally leaked the paper. He went to some of his fellow students and said, look, I need your help. This is what I'm going to do. And if you don't help me, you're going to be the first one I'm going to shoot. Oh my gosh. At least one of the kids went to the school administrator and said, hey, and this kid was real. He was stockpiling. They went to the kid's house. He had the stuff.
What school was that?
It was somewhere back east.
Oh.
I don't remember where it was.
But it could be anywhere.
Yeah. Sure. We're not immune to that. So that's a good question. So we've got to take it seriously.
But is that the security of the
No,
school?
the security of the school is the school's problem, but we're helping. We are paying 100% of the policeman's time in money and supplies. So we do that We're up to 5 or 6 now, however many high schools there are.
But even if you got a cop, an armed cop in there, and he's on the other side of the school, and some guy wants to come in this side of the school, you know.
You have control.
About it,
Hey,
you know?
but at least we could try.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to be able to send your grandkids to school next year. Izzy, our oldest, starts. I want to know that she's got a prayer coming home. And that's a sad thing that we say out loud, that she's a prayer coming home. But it has to be awful to be one of those parents. It's awful. And, be the kid. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Others? Yeah.
OTBC.
Yes.
Comment about that?
Good. Glad you asked. That's our business incubator, and we're growing that. Basically, you can come in the door, you can rent a desk for a pretty little amount of money, or an office space. But the key to that is we'll have a group of over 30 experienced business folks in different parts of how to run a business, how to grow a business, and they will counsel a developer. Say you decide that you've automated the widget that's going to balance your checkbook, and you need some help. How do you do a business plan? Where can you go to get help? We have that Oregon Technology Business Center. It's over off a hall right by the creek, the Creekside building back in there.
The city's paying for this.
Oh yes, most definitely. We have 1 or 2 councils who are not happy. They're cranky about it, but that's okay. As long as there's not 3 of them, we'll be fine. But it's a great deal. Some companies have come out of there. They've landed millions of dollars in funding from some seed funds, and I'm glad at least somebody here knew about that. That's exciting. I've been kind of passionate about that for a while. But we're trying to get Intel to send some of the young scientists over so they can sit down with us old people and learn what's going on. So it's a great question. Yeah, we are definitely paying for it, and we're going to continue as long as I have to say it. But now they're collecting rent for the space. It is equaling the rent we're paying for the building, so that's breaking.
That's good.
So now we're down to paying for 1.5 people salary. I think we can afford that to grow some. And we've grown some good businesses. Purelytics, there's a couple others, so it's good. Okay.
Well, thank you for coming. We are sponsoring the library, and Wally has a certificate here, appreciation. Thank you for coming. And we would like you, on behalf of the Optimist, Beaverton Optimist, and to present a book to the library.
Bob, can we read this?
Okay. You,
I want to read it. Okay. Anyway, certificate of appreciation. Certificate is awarded to Mayor Denny Doyle for his dedicated service to the community and as a speaker at our breakfast. In your honor, the book Balloons Over Broadway will be donated to the Loa Community Library. So that's part of our building up of the children's library, and Doug is going to represent the library, and the mayor will present the book to him. How's that?
Thank you very much.
You got a warm hand.
Are you videotaping or snapping?
Both.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is cool. What a way to
Very
start the
nice.
year.
Very
We're
nice.
end of your run.
Thanks, Mayor.
and we'd like to present you an Optimist Cup. All right. For coming and speaking.
They come and use the city hall.
So, please.
Nice job, Denny.
It's fun.
Do we have any other business for the good of the club? So as a reminder, the board meeting is 2 weeks, not next Monday, but the Monday after that. And next Thursday, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, if you're available, we'll move library. Okay?
Awesome, thank you.
So if we can all rise, please. Thank you, guests, for coming. Please come back. And at this point, we recite our Optimist Creed, if you can see it. Please, Joe, you were our big winner today in the raffle.
Promise yourself
to
Be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel there is something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. Forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. To wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature in you a smile. To give so much time to improvement yourself that you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to commit the presence of trouble.
Ding, ding. Thanks, Denny. All right, so.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank you very much.
Next week makes it a habit.
That's right.
You can hold the book. I did.
We appreciate your, yeah, we appreciate your recommendation.
Thank you.
It's a major change for our
Did you say you got busy on grant writing?
Yes, I'm gonna try and catch up a little bit today and tomorrow. And,
Yeah, I'm working the holidays, so I'm curious to see if three people pick up my brother and does USB drives, because I'm all about getting stuff for free when I can. You're doing that?
It's really cool. We took
Was that a gentle arm twist? Did I send him my $20 to join?
Oh, yeah. Need some membership. Thank you for coming.
What's tough about is a good word in policy.
allergy type thing, or? Yeah, we can get that.